All right. Hello, my name is John Smith. I am the small town tourist here, and this is my very first live. I've never done a live on the small town tourist before, so this is, this is earth-breaking, shattering news. But I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be doing this, and I have a bunch of pictures that I plan to show today, and I would just want to talk about some of the small towns and in Arizona and across the country, and what really led me to start this channel, why it is such a passion of mine. So we'll be talking about that type of stuff, and a little bit about me. I have been fortunate enough to have the opportunities to travel across the country multiple times. In fact, I would say east to west and west to east, from Arizona to Pennsylvania. I have probably traveled the country anywhere from maybe 10 to 12 times, and from north to south, south to north, multiple times too. And one of the fascinating things, probably the most fascinating thing for me, was visiting small towns. And it has always been my practice to get off the freeways and the interstates and just kind of go check out some of the small towns. And the reason I started doing it really was for my appetite. To be honest with you, it was I like to get away from the chain restaurants that you see kind of on the exits of the interstate. So I like to get off the interstates, and I would go onto the 2-lane roads to find a small town, because I knew in the small town I was going to find a great place to eat. And so that's what we would do. And I traveled with my wife a lot, and so we would travel cross country. And, that was one of the things we just decided that we were going to do. We were going to go to these small towns and find small family-owned restaurants to eat. And then once we started going to these small towns to eat, we started getting to know, well, not know the people that well, but we would talk to people, and they're like the nicest people in the world. It seems like their lives are simpler, and they don't have so much chaos and so many worries and so many things going on in their life. It just seems like their lives are just more relaxed and less stressful. So I would start to get talking to people, and this was years ago, and I just decided, you know what, I really want to travel America and just stay off the interstates altogether and just take 2-lane highways through these small towns and just stop and record and meet people and vlog about these towns, learn about the history, learn about why they love their town or why they stay in their town. There's towns in Texas that have higher populations of cattle than people, and I'm talking by the thousands. It's not even close. You may have a couple hundred people and 10,000 cows. So it's just fascinating things like that. And there's so many things to learn about these small towns and what makes them tick and what makes them unique. Kind of a side story here. I was traveling back from Pennsylvania on my way back to Arizona, and I went through a couple small towns, and this was years ago, and I don't even remember where I was, but I went through some small towns, and I started talking to the people, and it turned out that there was like this rivalry. There was this rivalry between these two little towns, and the rivalry was all sports related, football related. So as I talked to these people, they were so passionate about their teams and about their town and why their town was so much better than the next town. And then I would go to the next town and I would ask them the same thing, and they felt the same way. Now there wasn't any animosity. It was just purely out of fun and enjoyment, but it was so cool because Here in the city where I live in Mesa, Arizona, and we have like 500,000 people here. In Maricopa County, there's 4 million people, something like that. And people just don't want to talk to you. They don't want to get to know you. They don't want to take any time to stop and just chat and get to know you. But the people in the small towns, they had no problem with that at all. They would just sit down and talk and share the history of their town and why they lived there. And these people live in these small towns generation after generation after generation. They would just, they had no inkling to move. They had no thoughts to leave their town. Maybe they would leave for vacations, but they would never uproot and leave. You know, their family was going to stay in these small towns. And I just find that fascinating, the lifestyle and the pride, I guess the pride that people have in these small towns is just fascinating. So anyway, I wanted to talk with you guys about the small towns that I've had a chance to visit here in Arizona recently, and kind of my plans for the channel. I do plan to ultimately start taking trips around the country and just visit small towns. I might fly into Iowa and visit a few small towns, or Nebraska, or Indiana, wherever I can go. I just want to go into kind of, you know, the heartbeat of America, people, what they call flyover country. And I just want to fly into these areas and get to know people. And that's the whole point of this channel, is get to know people and find out about small towns and what makes them unique and awesome. So that's pretty cool. Now, I have had a chance recently, to go to some of the smaller towns here in Arizona. One of the ones that I went to first, because it's close and it's easy access for me, was Tortilla Flat. I don't know if you've ever been to Tortilla Flat, but it's just a tiny little trading post there along the Idaho Road, or what they call the Apache Trail, I guess. And it's Route 88, Highway 88. And it's just hidden deep up there in the Superstition Mountains. It's really one of the greatest things about going to Tortilla Flat is actually the trip there. The Apache Trail is absolutely phenomenal. It's some of the pictures are just, I mean, it's breathtaking. It's like going to a national park. It's that beautiful. In fact, it's probably more beautiful than some of the national parks that are out there. So I encourage going out to Tortilla Flat. There's a couple small bridges that you go across, these metal bridges, and they cross over the lake. And so you're crossing like a bridge, you know, like a metal bridge, and you can see down below you, and you can see the boats to the left and to the right. And then off to the left, I guess that would be the west side, is this just huge rock formation, this big mountain that goes from like the sky into the lake, and you can see its reflection, especially on a calm day. And you don't even realize it, but the Canyon Lake wraps around that massive mountain, and it goes for miles and miles and miles behind that, which is phenomenal. In fact, you can take a dolly steamboat ride. This is a picture of the dolly steamboat. You can take a dolly steamboat ride and go all the way back around that mountain. It's just the views are amazing. There's all kinds of wildlife there. There's a lot of bald eagles. I didn't take this picture, obviously, but there's bald eagles that nest up on top of these huge rock formations. So if you do go on the dolly steamboat, or you go out there, however you go out there, I highly recommend taking a very powerful set of binoculars so that you can see the wildlife out there. There's what they call Arizona Bighorn sheep out there. When I was out there, I probably saw a herd of 50 to 70 of these bighorn sheep. They just walk along the side, the edges, and just majestic. It's just phenomenal. So going out the Apache Trail is one of the best parts about going to Tortilla Flat, because of the scenery. Now, there is a lot of switchbacks. It is a pretty windy road, so you got to prepare for that. It's very popular for motorcycles because of that. So there are a lot of bikes you got to watch out. You got to watch out for trucks hauling boats back and forth, because sometimes they do have a tendency to kind of veer over the center line. So you got to just take it slow and take your time and just be careful and enjoy the views. You got to stop, take pictures, that stuff, that type of stuff. But it's really awesome. When you do get to Tortilla Flat, They have an excellent restaurant there. In fact, a friend of mine who runs a few restaurants and owns a few restaurants here in the Valley, he purchased the restaurant in Tortilla Flat a few years ago, just before COVID. And he completely revamped the menu and improved the menu. So the food out there, if you haven't been out to Tortilla Flat in a while, it's excellent. The food is excellent. So anyway, not to harp too much on the food, but I'm a food guy and I like it. You know, that's one of the reasons I go to these small towns, is to get good food. But they have a gift shop there. The gift shop is pretty nice. They do have homemade Native American jewelry for sale there. So it's quality stuff. This is stuff that's made by the Navajos and shipped into Tortilla Flat. So everything there is authentic and made by the Navajo people. So definitely worth checking out if you're looking for kind of a cool bracelet or a cool necklace or something like that, a pendant. It's a great place to pick something up that's made genuinely by the Navajo people. They have an ice cream shop up there. I don't know. Really cool ice cream shop up there. It's kind of unique. They have prickly pear ice cream. And so, like, where else can you get prickly pear ice cream, right? Where are you going to get it? You're not going to get that at your local grocery store or anywhere else, pretty much. And their ice cream's phenomenal and very, very good. Very enjoyable. So, and they do have homemade fudge. They have all kinds of like different types of hot sauces and salsas and all type of stuff there. It's really cool. But the wildlife is excellent. So that's one of the parts that I like about it best. But the scenery and the wildlife at Canyon Lake, you can do fishing there. I've been fishing at Canyon Lake. I haven't had a whole lot of success there, to be honest with you. Haven't had a whole lot of success, but you can still do it. A lot of people boat, and they take their kayaks up there. They take their what are they called? The like sea-doos or whatever, wave runners, that type of stuff. A lot of that up there, a lot of boats. So it's pretty awesome. Unfortunately, Fish Creek Hill, if you continue past Tortilla Flat, there is the dirt, the road eventually turns to dirt road, and there was what's called Fish Creek Hill, and it's this really steep, windy part of this dirt road. Well, it got washed out a few years ago, and unfortunately, you can't get past it anymore. But before, you used to go down, and it's an amazing road. It's just something that, like I said, it's out of a national park. It's just phenomenal, and it's not a national park, but it potentially could be. But Fish Creek Hill got washed out. But if you were able to go past that and stay on the dirt road, that would ultimately take you to Apache Lake. And Apache Lake is kind of a bigger lake out there, and it's real popular for boating and things. They used to have a really cool music festival out there. I don't know if they still have that or not. I don't know. I'm not 100% sure. And then ultimately you would take it beyond Apache Lake to Roosevelt Lake. Roosevelt Dam is really, again, it's an awesome scenic area to go to. The Roosevelt Dam is phenomenal. And then the view out above or out across Roosevelt Lake is just awesome. I mean, the whole time you're going to be taking pictures if you ever get the chance. If they ever reopen Fish Creek Hill, you'll have the option, the ability to go and just take a camera. You'll take 1,000 pictures before you're done. Just awesome. But once you get to Roosevelt Lake, then you can either go to Globe or you can go to Jake's Corner and come back, wrap around back to the valley that way. So anyway, that's pretty cool. I don't know if this background music is a good thing. This is an option in the StreamYard, and I saw it, so I figured, well, why not upload my theme song in the background? But it might be too much. I don't know. But Tortilla Flat's cool. When you get there, the first thing you'll notice when you walk in is that the walls are just covered with dollar bills. And there's other things you're going to notice before you even walk into the restaurant. For example, they have multiple like toilet seats hanging from kind of the rafters, so you can take your picture with your head sticking through like a tortilla flat toilet seat. Interesting. But every wall in Tortilla Flat is covered with dollar bills, like every square inch. And this place burned down one time, so they lost all of that, maybe more than that, but they lost all of that, all of those dollar bills too. So crazy, but yeah, it's really cool. And they got really neat things, old artifacts, that type of stuff hanging on the walls inside Tortilla Flat. Pretty cool. Pretty cool. They also have a patio, which is very nice. The patio is typically not open in the summer just because it's so hot out there. It can get into temperatures of 115 without the blink of an eye. And so it's a little too hot to be out sitting outside in the patio. But in the wintertime, in the fall, in the winter, in the spring, they'll open the patio and they'll have a cool country music band out there. Plus you can order food, have a couple adult beverages if you want to do that. But it's nice because it's an open air patio, and it's pretty slick. So in the wintertime, it's definitely a cool place to go to enjoy yourself, enjoy a few adult beverages and some food, some good music, and just in the middle of nowhere. It's literally in the middle of nowhere, so it's pretty cool. Anyway, if you're watching, if you have a small town that you'd like maybe to recommend here in Arizona or anywhere in the country, let me know. I'd be glad to talk to you about it and find out what about it is that you like and where it's located, that type of stuff. I'd be very interested to find out what your thoughts are. And if you have any recommendations for me to visit, I'm all about it. I did get to visit Pine up in Arizona as well. That's an amazing little town. There's the honey stand in Pine. Well, let me first say this. What I like about Pine is the people. Now, Tortilla Flat that I was just talking about, they have a population of 6 people, right? So you're not, if you meet a local, you're lucky because you have no idea, right? 6 people live up there. You don't know if they're local or not. But once you get into a little town like Pine, Arizona, you get to meet the local people, and they're just awesome people. I was talking to a woman named Star. She works at Skies in Pine, and the Skies in Pine, they make wood carvings and things like that. Let me see if I can get a picture. So here's an example of this, like corn on the cob kai. They cut that out of a log, but they sell these wood carvings, and they sell these really intricately made clocks and furniture and all this high-end stuff. But I got to meet Sky, and I talked with her for a while, and I asked her, I said, what about Pine is it that attracted you? Because she used to live in the valley. And she said it was the people. The people are just genuinely kind. They take care of each other no matter what your situation is. If you're a local and you live in Pine and you're going through something, the rest of the town is going to rally around you and your family. And that's what I find in small towns that you don't necessarily find in the bigger city. So these small towns are just, the people love each other. They take care of each other. They all know each other, and they don't want to see one of their neighbors going through anything. They don't want to see them suffering. So they'll stand up and kind of step up and take care of them, because they know that in the future, if they're ever in that situation, they know that their town's going to take care of them too. And that was just awesome. And that's what Star said. She said that's what attracted me to this town was the people. The people are genuinely kind and genuinely nice. And inside Pine, once you get into Pine, there's all kinds of great restaurants there, and stores and shops and antique boutiques and clothing stores and just stuff you'll never find anywhere else. And it's really cool. There's a place called the Honey Stand. The food they sell, they have homemade honey. It's all Arizona made honey. So they buy their honey directly from bee farmers right here in Arizona. They have whipped honey and regular honey and flavored honey. And they even make these little honey sticks for kids, like pixie sticks. Like when I was a kid, I used to eat these pixie sticks, and they were filled full of that like powdery stuff. But these are actually filled with real fresh honey. So it's really cool. And the family I met Michael. He's the grandson of the owner, and I got to talk with him, and he was so just open. In fact, it was a Monday, so The honey stand was closed. They're closed on Mondays and Tuesdays. But he opened the doors for me, and he took me on a tour of the place, and he showed me the different things that they sell and the different products they offer. And just awesome. He gave me some history of the town and how the freeway, the freeway used to run completely different. And so he kind of mapped that out for me. He gave me the history of the building. The building was actually built as the original post office in Pine. And then they turned it into kind of like an auto repair gas station type place. And then his grandfather purchased the building back in the 80s and reopened it as a honey stand. And they've been running this honey stand since 1989. So that's what I like, not to be redundant, but that's what I like about going to these small towns, because the people, they want to talk to you. They want to share the history. They want to talk about it, right? If I met someone in downtown Mesa right now and I asked them about the history of Mesa, they would probably have no idea. They just live there because they live there, right? They don't really have pride in their town, pride in their city. It's like, I live in Mesa, but it is what it, whatever. But that's not how it is in Pine. It's not how it is in these small towns. They love, it's generation after generation after generation of people that live there. And future generations will continue to live there. Now, there's another place called the County Inn. I did a video about Pine, and I kept saying the Country Inn because I looked at the sign, and in my brain it said country. It's actually called County, the County Inn. And they make home or like wood-fired pizzas. They have like a homemade beer cheese dip for the breadsticks. They serve local wine, that type of stuff. The County Inn is a home run. It's probably, in my opinion, probably the best pizza I've had in Arizona, maybe ever. It's that good. And they make it, it's a real fire oven, fire heated oven with logs and everything. It's not an imitation fire or a gas fire. It's heated with logs. So it's got kind of that smoky taste to it. I can't even describe it. It's just excellent. It's worth if you live in the valley, it's worth driving to the County Inn up in Pine just for lunch. If that's all you do, if you just go to the County Inn for lunch and then turn around and go home, it's worth it. Now, if you're going to skip over the honey stand and other things there, well, that's your mistake, but the County Inn is excellent. The County Inn, the owner of the County Inn owns the Pinewood Tavern as well. Now, the Pinewood Tavern, they're kind of trying to build that Tortilla Flat ambiance. So they do have some of their walls that are covered in dollar bills, and they have animal heads. They got the buffalo head and that type of stuff around, and they have interesting signs above the urinals. But it's funny. But this is a picture of the outside of the Pinewood Tavern. It's super nice. You can tell. I mean, look at the backdrop with the mountains and the pine trees and the blue skies. I mean, that's Pine in a nutshell. But I happened to eat at the Pinewood Tavern when I was there because I had never eaten there, and people had recommended it. So I went into the Pinewood Tavern, and their food was fantastic. The service was great. I didn't realize it was owned by the same people that own the County Inn. So it makes sense that it's excellent because, they know how to run restaurants. So just a great people, great food, great shopping, all that type of stuff. And this is what you see in small town America. Farm fresh eggs, right? $4 a dozen. And $6 for 18. Just hanging on a fence. You don't see that in suburban or urban cities, right? In urban America. You don't just walk up and see farm fresh eggs hanging on a sign in town. And again, that's why I love these small towns, because these people they're farmers, whether they're little homesteads or farms, and they're working with the community. If somebody over at the honey stand needs farm fresh eggs, and the farm fresh eggs people would like some honey. Now they can barter back and forth. And that's what, in these little towns, they do that. I grew up in a somewhat of a small town. It was a population of about 10,000 in western Pennsylvania. And we did that. We bartered. I had chickens and we bartered eggs for fresh corn and apples and all that type of stuff. And that's what you do in small towns. It's really, really awesome. And then you can hit places like this, these little ice cream stands, right? You get off the beaten path and you can get some homemade ice cream and honey and eggs, farm fresh eggs, that type of stuff. Instead of running to your local grocery store, your local Walmart, and buying these mass-produced products, you're getting the real deal when you get off the interstate and you go to your small towns. This, again, is a picture of out front of Sky's. Sky, Mr. Sky, I don't know his first name, but Mr. Sky is an artist, and he makes all of this incredible woodworking. And it's all local wood. It's all local Arizona wood. So he'll make calls to different people, or people will call him and say, I've got a downed tree. Can you come and take it off my property? You can have it. He'll go out and he'll take it and cut it up and make it into clocks or make it into furniture, end tables. Just the stuff is high end stuff. But again, you're not going to find it anywhere else in America, only in Pine. And he sells his stuff all across the country. He sells it to people in Hollywood, people all across the country. I think Sky was telling me someone had their entire house furnished with Sky's furniture. And it was just like unbelievable, the cost. Another great place to hit in Pine, if it wasn't open the day that I was up there, but HB's Place, if you're looking for a good breakfast place, HB's Place, it's right on the main drag, right on the B line as you go through Pine. But HB's Place is excellent food. And again, the service is great. I've never had bad service in Pine. Now, I don't know if that's consistent with small towns across the board. A lot of the time it is. I can't think of a time where I had bad service of any kind in a small town. So, anyway, that's kind of cool. Now, I did, that was Pine, and I talked about Tortilla Flat again, too. And again, if you're watching or you're listening to this and you have a small town that you absolutely love that you would like to tell me about, you can use it in the live chat. Tell me all about it. I'd love to hear about it. I do plan on expanding. I do have several small towns here in Arizona that are on my list to go to, but I do plan on expanding my travels all across the country as well. So if money and time allow it to happen, I'm going to go to small towns all across the country, and I can't wait to do it. And I'll be vlogging as I go. Now, as I mentioned, I talked about Tortilla Flat, population 6. Pine, the population, depending on which website you go to, can be anywhere from 1,700 to about 1,900 people. And then I had a chance to go to Jerome, Arizona. And this is a shot kind of from going into Jerome. You can see the big J on the wall, or the mountain there, not the wall, but the mountain. And then off to the left there, the bottom left is the town of Jerome. It's literally built on the side of a hill, and it's an old ghost town, right? Back in the late 1800s, early 1900s, the town boomed because of the copper. They discovered copper up there, and people flocked. Just like California had a gold rush, Arizona had a copper rush. And so people just flocked. Miners flocked into the hills up there, up in the Verde Valley. That's where Jerome is, up in the Verde Valley. And people would flock there to get a piece of that money, a piece of that economy. So the town itself grew to about 15,000 people. And that's a lot. If you've ever been to Pine, Jerome, it's not a very big geographical area. But 15,000 people went there, but it was extremely dangerous because it was surrounded by brush and pine trees and things like that. It's about 5,000 feet elevation up there. And so there's a lot of brush, and to be surrounded on the side of a mountain is extremely dangerous. So the town had, I think the history said, about 5 major fires that ripped through that area. And most of the original buildings have been burnt down, maybe once or twice, maybe 5 times. I don't know for sure, but the town got just eviscerated with fires up there. And so it was dangerous. And then when the copper started to kind of not produce as much, then people started leaving, right? Once the money left, the people left. So the town went from about 15,000 people down to about 400 people. And so they referred to it as a ghost town, right? Because so many people left. But, and they say it's haunted and all this type of stuff. It's kind of part of their advertising, you know. In fact, I think I have a picture of, there you go, Jerome ghost tours, right? So you can go and sign up and take a ghost tour if you want to, but it's kind of more of a gimmick type of thing. But I can't remember when it was. Can't remember when it was incorporated off the top of my head. But once it was incorporated, then they were able to start. They were able to establish a fire department and fire codes and all kinds of different codes, so that they could actually build the infrastructure of the town better and safer than it was. So now Pine is a booming, I'm sorry, I keep saying Pine. Jerome is a booming tourist attraction because it's so beautiful. The views of Pine, from Pine, oh, Jerome, geez, what's wrong with my head today? But that's just a view, one view that I took from Jerome, and that looks out over the Verde Valley, and at the very top, right below the skyline, is the Mogollon Rim. And then you can see, I believe the mountains in the background there are the Flagstaff Mountains. So that would be Mount Humphrey, the San Francisco Peaks, right? Pretty awesome. So that's a view. And I got quite a plethora of different views. This is actually from the Kaleidoscope Art Gallery. It's called Nellie Bly Gallery. And this is just on the back porch of that gallery. And so you can see out, way out over Cottonwood and the Verde Valley down below. Just absolutely phenomenal. And with those clouds, with the sky the way it was that day, just made for epic pictures. It was just really, really awesome. So there's that picture again. This was a Catholic church that I wanted to stop and visit up in Pine. It's a big church, but unfortunately, it was not open. So I wasn't able to go in, but next time maybe, who knows. This is a picture of the Jerome Fire Department. So when you're up there, this is like a historic building. It's one of the first fire departments, from my understanding, in Arizona. So definitely worth checking out. There's so much to see. There's so much history up there. It's just amazing. This is a picture of a stairwell. Let me tell you, when you're in Jerome, you've got to be prepared to do a lot of walking. There's not a whole lot of parking available. So once you park and you have to pay to park, your car is going to stay there. But if you want to go from business to business and, art gallery to gallery and stop at different restaurants or whatever you're doing there that day, you got to be prepared to do a lot of uphill walking, a lot of stair climbing, that type of stuff. So, but you got to be in good shape. This is a picture of one of the kaleidoscopes that was in Jerome. And if you go back to my channel and you watch my video, I actually took video of the kaleidoscope in motion. So you can go back and check that out. I don't have still pictures of them, but I do have the video. It's pretty awesome. So anyway, that's kind of what I've been doing with this channel. That's the goal of this channel, is to go to the different small towns, meet the people, find the best restaurants with the homemade food, right? We don't do chain restaurants when we go to small towns. Absolutely not. We find a locally owned small restaurant that's run and operated by local people. When I was there in Jerome, I went to the Haunted Hamburger. Food was excellent. And everyone told me, you're not going to be disappointed. Go to the Haunted Hamburger. And that's what I did. And it was great. So anyway, well, this is my very first live stream for the Small Town Tourist. And I just wanted to share with you a little bit about what we do here at the channel, why we started the channel, and kind of what's to come. So I do have some cities that I'm going to be going to, one of which is Oatman. I'm going to be going up to Oatman, Arizona. If you're not familiar with that, it's a very small, kind of ghost townish town in the middle of nowhere, and it's kind of been overrun by wild burros. And they're all over the town. So they'll come down into town and just walk the streets. They're everywhere. So I'm excited to go there. I haven't been there yet, ever. And so I'm very excited to do that. There's also a town up on Route 66 called Seligman. I'm going to be heading up there. I'll be able to hopefully put those two towns together. I'll be able to visit both towns at the same trip. I'm looking forward to that. I'm also going down to Ajo. And that's going to be more southern. That's closer to the Mexican border here in Arizona. Ajo is a town of population of about 2,600. Again, it's a mining town, and there's a big open mine down there, a big copper mine. I'll be checking that out and hitting up some of the galleries there as well. So there's a ton of things to do in Ajo. So look forward to that. I should have that video out hopefully in the next few weeks. We'll see. We'll see how time and everything allows. And but also going down to Bisbee. I've never been to Bisbee. I've heard so much about it. It's not too far from Tombstone, so I will make that a combined trip as well. I'll do Tombstone and Bisbee, so there'll be videos on both. But there's a lot. That's just scratching the surface. I'm going to go up to Springerville as well. Springerville is a town of a population which is decreasing, but it's close to 2,000 people, and maybe just under. So I'll be up there in Springerville in the not too far future. And then, like I said, as opportunities arise, I'll be traveling to different small towns and just meeting with people and getting to know people out there. So anyway, that's about it. That's all I got for today. And I hope if you go back and you watch the show, or if you watched it live, I hope you enjoyed it. And until next time, get off the freeways, get off the interstates, and go visit small town America.